You're a senior who has noticed that some things that used to be effortless now are more difficult, whether that's fixing things around the house, doing basic household chores, or even just getting up from your couch. But you know that you've lost some muscle. Fortunately, it's not inevitable and you can get some of your muscle back. There are 3 ways of doing that, and we'll talk about those in this video, including the most powerful method, which I'll reveal at the end of the video. Method number 1, which is very pleasant and we should all be doing, and yet a lot of seniors struggle with this one, and that is just sleep. When you're asleep, the body is rebuilding. What is it rebuilding? It's rebuilding muscle that's been broken down throughout the day. Whether you're doing strength training to actively break down the muscle, or even if you're not doing strength training, you're just living your life, muscle gets broken down inevitably. Sleep helps rebuild the muscle. Now, if you're not sleeping properly, that's a big problem. There are 2 major sleep problems we see with our clients. One is insomnia, and another one is sleep apnea. And there are a number of different fixes for each. 2 of the most common supplements for insomnia are magnesium and melatonin. If you want me to make a video about one or both of these supplements, comment below and I'll do so if there's enough desire for it. But by far, my favorite method of improving sleep in people with insomnia is something called CBTI. What does that stand for? It stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. It's a way of retraining your brain as well as your behaviors around sleep. And what it involves is sleep restriction at the core of it, and over a 6 to 10 week training period where you're going to feel a little bit tired, or maybe a lot tired, you're going to normalize your sleep, and that basically lasts for life. Again, this is not a video particularly about CBTI, but if you want me to make a separate video about that, post a comment below, and if there's enough demand, I'll do that. As for sleep apnea, that's usually a very simple fix. Sleep apnea is a condition where you wake up many times throughout the night, perhaps hundreds, without remembering it. You wake up because you stop breathing because your brain shuts off the air supply to your body. You wake up gasping, but the awakening is so brief you have no recollection of it and you go right back to sleep. You might have been in bed for 8 hours, but asleep for only 5 or 6 hours, and you wake up feeling tired. If you snore, it's an almost definitive sign of sleep apnea, but you can also have sleep apnea without snoring. If you sleep with somebody else, ask them, do you have sleep apnea or do you snore, etc. And if you do, one of the best ways to improve your overall health and build muscle in the process is to get a treatment for sleep apnea. The most common treatment is a CPAP machine, which stands for continuous positive airway pressure, which you wear over your mouth and nose, and it constantly blows air into you while you sleep. A lot of people report that being uncomfortable, but that's often because they don't give it enough of a shot. But there are other treatments for sleep apnea, like certain medications, certain dental devices, and others. The second way to reverse muscle loss for seniors is to get adequate protein. What is protein needed for? The most obvious thing is muscle. But you also need it for other things like your immune system, your bones. And by the way, in my book, Osteoporosis Reversal Secrets, I explain how protein is the single most important nutrient for your bones, not just your muscles. And it's not calcium, it's not vitamin D, but protein. Protein is also important for your blood sugar levels, which I talk about in my video about how to improve blood sugar levels for normal weight diabetics. And basically, like I always say in my other videos, life is easier when you're stronger. So if I've convinced you that protein is important, the next question is, how much do you need? Protein requirements depend on 3 things. 1, your age, whether you're over 60 or under 60. 2, your activity levels. Are you sedentary? Are you doing cardio only? Are you doing strength training only? Or are you doing cardio plus strength training? And lastly, your body weight. If you're over 60 and you're doing strength training, you need approximately 2 or 2.2 grams per kilogram per day. If you're under 60 and you're doing strength training, you need about 1.6 grams per kilogram per day. So now that you know how much you need, what are the best sources of protein? I divide protein based on 3 categories. Category number 1 is what I call grade A protein. Grade A protein is any food with more than 30 grams of protein per serving. The best examples of those are meat, fish, and seafood. The only 2 sources that are vegetarian or vegan are whey protein and tofu. Everything else is either a grade B or grade C protein. Speaking of which, what are examples of grade B protein? Well, first of all, the way I define grade B protein is anything between 10 and 29 grams of protein per serving. And that's things like beans, which contain 12 to 14 grams, lentils, 16 to 18 grams. These are all examples of grade B protein. Also Greek yogurt or Icelandic yogurt, which have about 12 to 14 grams per serving. Then there's grade C protein, which is things people say are high in protein, but usually are not. Those people are usually vegans and they don't know what they're talking about. So what are examples of grade C protein? Well, eggs, one medium egg is only about 6 grams of protein. One glass of milk is only about 9 grams of protein. One slice of cheese is only about 6 grams of protein, and every vegetable is below 5 grams. So don't let vegans tell you that vegetables are high in protein. They are not. Finally, the third method to reverse muscle loss is also the most powerful. It's also the most obvious, and that's strength training. Sleep is good, protein is good, but the most potent one is strength training. So how should you exercise if your goal is muscle gain, which by the way is different than if your goal is osteoporosis reversal or blood sugar control or blood pressure reduction, etc. If your goal is muscle gain, you have to follow the FIT principle, F-I-T-T. That stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. The type is obvious, that's strength training. Frequency is how many days per week. Intensity is how hard or how much weight do you lift, and the duration or the time really, when it comes to strength training, that means sets and repetitions. You're going to be doing full body workouts. So you want to work your major muscle groups at every workout. That's 2 to 3 workouts per week. And there's your frequency, 2 to 3 per week. What's the number of sets? Between 3 and 5 sets per workout. And the number of repetitions should be approximately 10 to 15 repetitions. How hard should it be or how much weight should you lift? I stay away from giving you specific poundages because A, every person is different, and B, every muscle is different. What might be a heavy weight for your biceps is not that heavy for your calves or your quadriceps, etc. But here's the ultimate guideline to know if you're working adequately enough, hard enough. And that is, at your last repetition, how many more repetitions do you think you could have done? Your answer should be, I think I could have only done 1 more. If you think you could have done 2 more or 3 or more, the weight is too light, you should raise the weight. And the secret sauce to making strength training work is progression. It's not like you go into the gym the very first day, you figure out your right weights, and that's the weights you do forever. Your weight should be going up over time. Okay, so try to raise your weights every 2 to 4 workouts. Don't be shy about it. It's much more beneficial to do progressive resistance training than to just do resistance training. If you need help with the exercise side of putting together an exercise program that fits you, while taking in mind your injuries, your health conditions, your medications, etc., we have a special offer for you right here, right now, which is if you click on the link in the description below, it'll take you to our homepage where you can schedule a free 10 to 15 minute Zoom chat, which is no pressure, no obligation, no sales pitch, just to see whether we can help you. That's one way that we can potentially help you. The other way we can potentially help you is we have a free exercise and nutrition newsletter for people over 50. If you want access to that, click on the other link below to subscribe to that. Thank you and goodbye.